The storm had rolled in without warning, turning the dirt road into a ribbon of mud that clung to the rancher's boots as he stepped onto the porch. Elias Cole had lived on this land long enough to read the sky, but tonight even a hand expected thunder to crack so close it rattled the windows. He was about to shut the door when he saw her. She stood at the edge of the yard, soaked to the bone, dark hair plastered to her face, a thin coat hanging from her shoulders like it belonged to someone else. She didn't wave. She didn't call out. She just stood there, swaying slightly, as if the wind itself was the only thing keeping her upright. Elias frowned, instincts sharpening. Out here, strangers didn't appear unless they were lost, desperate, or running. He grabbed his lantern and walked toward her, the beam of light catching her wide, frightened eyes. "You're a long way from town," he said evenly. Her lips parted, but no sound came out at first. When she finally spoke, her voice was hoarse. "I just need somewhere to stay. For the night." He studied her face, looking for signs of deceit, danger, or trouble that could spill onto his land. He found none, only exhaustion and a fear so deep it seemed older than the storm itself. Elias had learned long ago that questions could wait. People told the truth when they were ready. "Come inside," he said, turning back toward the house. "You'll catch your death standing out here." She hesitated, then followed, each step careful, as though she expected the ground to vanish beneath her. Inside, the ranch house smelled of wood smoke and coffee. Elias handed her a towel and pointed toward the fire. "Sit, warm up." She obeyed, hands trembling as she held them out toward the flames. Water dripped onto the worn wooden floor. Elias poured her a mug of coffee and set it on the table between them. Their fingers almost touched, and she flinched. "Name?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "Not yet." He nodded once, accepting it. Silence settled between them, broken only by the crackle of the fire and the storm pounding the roof. Minutes passed, maybe more. Elias pretended to busy himself, but he felt it, the way her presence shifted the air, the way something unseen pressed against old memories it buried deep. Finally, she spoke again, barely above a whisper. "I didn't know where else to go." "That's all right," Elias said. "You're safe here." The words seemed to undo her. Her shoulders sagged, and tears welled in her eyes. She clutched the mug like an anchor. "There's something you should know," she said, staring into the dark liquid. Her voice shook. "Someone will be looking for me." Elias met her gaze, steady and calm. "Everyone's looking for something," he replied. "Doesn't mean they'll find it." She swallowed hard, then leaned forward, as if afraid the walls themselves might hear. When she spoke the name, it was barely a breath. "Daniel Cole." The mug slipped from Elias's hand, shattering on the floor. The name echoed through him like a gunshot, dragging the past into the present with brutal force. He stared at her, all the questions he had asked crashing down at once. Because Daniel Cole was the one name Elias had never expected to hear again, especially from a stranger standing in his home for a long moment, Elias couldn't move. The fire still crackled, the storm still raged, but the world had narrowed to that one name lying broken between them like the shards of the mug on the floor. Daniel Cole, his younger brother, the man who had vanished 12 years ago, leaving behind debts, blood, and questions no one ever answered. Elias slowly crouched and picked up the largest piece of ceramic, more to give his hands something to do than from any sense of tidiness. His fingers were steady, but his chest felt tight, as if the air had thickened. "Why did you say that name?" he asked at last. The woman's face had gone pale. She looked as though she might bolt for the door, but exhaustion pinned her to the chair. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said quickly. "I didn't even know this was your ranch. I swear." Elias straightened, his tall frame casting a shadow across the room. "Answer the question." She nodded, blinking back tears. "Because Daniel Cole saved my life." The words landed softer than I expected, yet they cut deeper. Saved her life. Elias had buried his brother as a lost cause, selfish, reckless, and dangerous. A man who destroyed everything he touched. This stranger's trembling voice didn't fit that story at all. "When?" Elias asked. 3 months ago," she said. Near the border. I was being chased. I don't know how I knew, but he showed up out of nowhere. Put himself between me and the men following me. Her hands curled into fists. He told me if anything ever went wrong, if I had nowhere left to run, he should find you. Elias let out a sharp breath. You expect me to believe that? She met his eyes then, something fierce cutting through her fear. I don't care what you believe. He gave me this. She reached into her coat and pulled out a small, worn object, a silver coin with a notched edge. Elias felt his knees weaken. He knew that coin. Their father had given it to Daniel the night before he died, telling him it would bring him home if he ever got lost. Elias had searched for it for years, convinced it was gone forever. He said you'd recognize it, she whispered. Elias turned away, jaw tight. Memory surged, 2 boys racing horses at dawn, a fist fight in the barn that ended in laughter, the last argument that ended with Daniel riding away and never looking back. He had told himself he was done hoping. That some doors were meant to stay closed. What's your name? He asked quietly. Clara. He nodded. 11. You said people are looking for you. Yes, and for him. She hesitated. Especially for him. Elias stared into the fire, seeing not flames but the outline of a brother who might still be alive, and in danger. He had taken Clara in without questions because that was who he was. But now, the past had walked through his door and refused to leave. You can stay, he said finally. But understand this, if Daniel sent you here, then trouble isn't far behind. Clara exhaled in relief, shoulders sagging. He said you'd say that. Elias's eyes hardened, resolve setting in. Tomorrow, he added, you're going to tell me everything. Because if my brother is alive. He clenched his fist around the silver coin. Then I'm not letting him disappear again.